Hi, my name is Deb. Kenya in East Africa has been my home now for 10 years. My work here is to love my neighbor as myself. Jesus told us that that's the second greatest commandment. And he told us the story of the Good Samaritan so that we would understand what that kind of love looks like. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Agnes. We met in August of 2004 when she and her family moved next door to my mud hut in rural Kenya and became my neighbors. They had practically nothing to their name, plus no job and no land to farm. And yet there were so many mouths to feed. Our friendship has developed over the years. I've learned a lot about poverty and all its ramifications. Poverty has become very real to me as I look into Agnes's eyes and as I observe her weary body. Life has beaten her up and knocked her down, just like the traveler in the story that Jesus told. As I have interacted with Agnes over the course of the last 7 years, I've had a glimpse into her heart and into her struggles. It's as if poverty rose up, stood on its feet, looked me in the eye, and shook my hand. Indeed, Agnes is materially poor, but she's not that much different than me. She loves her children, and she wants the best for them. She desperately wants them to complete their education and to achieve all of their potential. Please listen now as Agnes tells her own story.
Okay, my name is Agnes, a mother of 5 boys, namely Tony, who is 17 years, Pupino, 16, Anderson, 12, Duane, 7, and Zachary, 4. And these are this Duane and this Zach. The rest are in school. I had a husband named Charles Pelosi who ran away from me, leaving me with all the children in a rental house without knowing forward or backward, without any income to pay rent or to feed the children. Up to the extent I am now, God helped me to meet a friend of mine whose names are Deb Smith, our friendship has lasted now for 7 years, and she has really tried to struggle with me and my family. She even helped me until she paid for me the school fees for the sewing machine, and finally she bought for me a sewing machine, which really helped me up to now where I am. Except now, what I can say, with the little I get, maybe when I make the simple sewing, it's not enough for me anyway to feed the children, to pay rent, and maybe take them to school. But it helps me, because at times I get the little and I pay my rent, and I can even feed my children, although not fully, but it helps me. Now I'm only praying to God if He could open for me a way out, so that I can have a piece of land whereby I can settle with my children, and maybe I will be relieved from paying rent, and probably I can also plan to have, maybe to do some digging, planting maize, vegetables, and maybe I can also try to raise some poultry and rabbits around my compound. I think that one will help me and will make me rest.
Thanks for listening to Agnes's story. My dream is to raise $12,000 for her. It would buy 2 acres of land, build a simple mud hut and kitchen, plus dig a pit latrine with an adjoining washroom. There would hopefully be enough money to also dig a well so that she and the boys can have clean drinking water. 3/4 of the plot can be planted in cash crops to pay the school fees for the children. The other quarter can be planted in vegetables to feed the family. Will you help me do something tangible to change the life of my friend Agnes? Scroll down after this video for simple directions on how to do so. And also, learn how you can get an apron for your donation. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen.